It's John Lund Unleashed. Shout out to Lund loyalists watching on YouTube, those watching on X, Instagram, Facebook, and JohnLundUnleashed.com and the Lund Lunatics, listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe and like John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and keep those alerts on so you don't miss anything. Now here's Johnny.
Yes, happy Sunday. Thanks for joining us. I know we'll be back tomorrow, but we have got to get into the whole, well, not only for the 49ers winning in Seattle, and I've got a philosophy, especially winning on the road in the NFL, but let's get into it. 17-13, and you can see right there, Nick Bosa, the ball get knocked away from former 49er Sam Darnold, who, to be honest with you, sucked today. And I know Seattle's going to have a pretty good defense, but the offense is a problem. But the 49ers, as we were talking about last week, thought, well, you know, the offense is going to have to carry him. Robert Saleh is a magic man. I was going to go into singing some Heart right now, but I will not. A magic man. Nah, that was terrible. I wasn't even ready to sing. 17-13, the 49ers get the win. They do get some help from Seattle. Mike McDonald with a terrible third down, not going for it on fourth down. And while this is going to sound strange, while Jake Moody was just one of three today, one he missed, one was blocked, one he made, by him actually sucking today, he made Kyle Shanahan get aggressive, and maybe that will click the light on with Kyle Shanahan. Like, I do have CMC. I do have a lot of talent. We will get into the injuries and all those kind of things, but the reality is maybe Jake, by missing field goals, as crazy as this sounds, actually helped the 49ers to be more aggressive, and I've been screaming for years to Kyle to be more aggressive. And then Mike McDonald with 3:24 left and less than a yard to go, which you go all the time. And Greg Olsen made a great point, which is you don't get the ball to 20 anymore to get it to 35. And defensive coaches tend to be conservative. They take a 13-10 lead instead of slamming it down the Niners' throats and possibly getting 7 there, which forces the 49ers. Tariq Woolen was absolutely awful. But shades of 2024. But here's the bottom line of the whole thing. And I have a philosophy when you're in the NFL, especially on the road, especially against a division opponent, we're not grading wins here. You know, remember in college we did pass-fail? I did pass-fail a lot. It's pass-fail. You either win, pass, or fail, lose. It doesn't matter because you can look great next week. You can look terrible next week. The bottom line is the whole thing is the defense was great. Winters was great. Warner was great. Bosa was great. They only got the one sack at the end with Bosa. Upton Stout had a PI and a couple of rough things. As I told you, Seattle was going to attack him, and they did. But he made a play when he needed to. They screwed up a couple of times, gave up a deep ball to Smith and Jigba, but then Bosa makes the play at the end of the game. Bottom line to the whole thing, you don't need to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and P. I don't care about grades. It's all about winning the football game, and that's what the 49ers did. To win in Seattle, a 10-win team last year, to win on the road in Seattle is an absolutely huge thing, especially when we'll get into the injuries with Jennings and Kittle and 2024 flashbacks with the special teams sucking as they did and Brock trying to force balls that aren't there. There's 4 guys in coverage on Pearsall, dude. I know you have confidence in him, but you can't throw that ball. Just some shades of 2024, but none of that matters because they win. It goes into the win column. There is no residual effect. There is no momentum, good, bad, or indifferent. And they go to New Orleans next week, a place that the Cardinals went into, which, by the way, the Saints have great uniforms when they do the gold with the black helmets. But Spencer Rattler is not going to give you any kind of dreams of Drew Brees. So they should go in there and beat New Orleans as well to go out to a 2-0 start. And that would be absolutely amazing. So here's what we got for you. I do good, bad, and ugly. Good, bad, and the ugly for this 17-13 win over the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. And what I want you to do is hit me up on the chat line right here. Hit me up if you're listening a little bit later. We're on X right now. Welcome on X at John Lund Radio. What I want you to do is come over to YouTube at John Lund Unleashed and hang out for the postgame show and tell us what you thought. Most important plays, players, worried about the injuries. I told you didn't need to be worried about CMC, but who am I? And, of course, we can get into Jake Moody as well. So welcome. John Lund Unleashed. The 49ers beat the Seahawks 17-13. And, again, I'm not saying we're not grading, but we certainly will discuss it. If you want to throw a grade on it, you do you. I'm not telling you how to live your life or anything like that. I'm just simply saying in the NFL, especially in division and on the road, you just don't grade these things. It's a pass-fail. That's what it is. It's a pass-fail class. You could kick ass and do great, and then all of a sudden you fumble a ball, and you're like, how did that team beat us? And you think we played an A- or a B+ game, but we lost. You either win or you lose. That's just the way it goes. So anyway, lots of stuff to hear from. You're going to see some highlights. You're going to hear from Kyle Shanahan on a lot of things. Nick Bosa on that final strip sack to win the game. I cannot believe that Kittle goes out and a backup tight end. My God, is Tariq Woolen bad. CMC and Brock, Warner on the defense. I told you how D. Winters was looking in training camp. He was a missile today, so a lot of guys step up. And you know what? I know Robert Saleh doesn't tackle, tip the ball, pick the ball off, sack anybody, stop the run, or do anything like that. But if you're telling me that Robert Saleh had no effect on this game, you are crazy. They just play with a lot more confidence, speed, violent nature, whatever the case may be with Robert Saleh going around. So whatever you want to go into, that is fine. There's a ton of different things. We can look at the numbers, all that kind of stuff. And again, we'll play good, bad, and the ugly, as you can see on the chalkboard right there. I'm jacked up, man. I love getting a win on opening day because it just sets a tone, man. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat room again. Coming over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and participate in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Francis is here, our great friends at East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Time is it on the East Coast anyway? We got to get back to the Ravens and the Bills, don't we? 9:30 over there. Thank you, Baba Booey. Baba Booey is here tonight. James, it is great to see you. Daniel from the 916. Our good friend Joy is here. Moody for life. You know where I'm going. You know what? I'm not going to be angry. They got the win. Pine, it is great to see you, my friend. It is very good to see you, my friend. And I'll get to some of these questions. A lot of people are saying a lot of good stuff already. I can see this. Christopher, it is always good to see our good friend Chris in here. Awesome. Good to see you. Chris is very busy, and I always screw up his work schedule, so I apologize for that. Again, questions, comments, thoughts. It is great to see you, Tommy. Great to see you in the Nutter. It's always good to see the Nutter. Anthony is here tonight. Very, very cool to see you. Sports fan, it is great to see you. Whew, huge win. Big, 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 big win. By the way, I love what the NFL is doing with these division games right out of the gate. And, you know, tonight's not a division game with the Ravens and the Bills, but it's a huge game. And then tomorrow night, you got the Vikings and the Bears and all this kind of stuff. The Packers looked really good. Aaron Rodgers bounces back. So anyway, we'll go through the rest of the NFL. And again, questions, comments, thoughts. If, as I always say, you 100% want to get your thoughts on the show, hit me with the super support the show. It's all you got to do. Couple bucks. What is that going to do? It's not going to set you back. So let's go. All right, let's get to it. I always like to start with the good, so let's start with the good. First and foremost, like I said, a divisional road win. And they won't see the Seahawks until the final game of the season. You know how different these teams are going to look? Hugely different. Seattle couldn't run the ball. They tried to. They did in preseason. I don't know what's going on with Kenneth Walker. The offensive line was not good. But you know what? I think that first and foremost, where I go divisional road win, and then let's go to BOSA saves the game. And Nick just did an awesome job because they had gotten beat with Smith and Jigba down the sidelines, and you're thinking to yourself, uh-oh, not good. Renardo Green gets beat down the sidelines by Smith and Jigba, who had a big game against the Niners today. And they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Tunges makes the great catch in the corner of the end zone. You'll hear from him in a minute. Back and forth, back and forth. And, you know, there's a lot of errors that happen in a game, and I think that Mike McDonald with 3:24 left gave the 49ers just a huge gift. It's fourth and less than one. It's a tie game at 10. You're trying to establish what you are, which is out-bully the bully in the division. The Niners have been dominating, especially in Seattle, a place they could never win. You've got to go for it right there. And I thought Greg Olsen made a hell of a good point, which is defensive coordinators tend to, and he's still a very young coach. He's 38 years old, the head coach of the Seahawks. They tend to play conservatively. And so, you know, as weird as it sounds, as I said at the beginning, I don't know if they win this game without Jake Moody's misses. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but stay with me here. What McDonald did was to say, I have trust in my defense. You know, Juwan Jennings is out and George Kittle is out, and we'll get to that in a minute. And he decides to kick the field goal. So they get the field goal. The Niners get the ball. They go down the field. The two biggest plays of the drive, and I don't know what happened to Tariq Woolen. He's a guy that was drafted out of Texas Arlington, and the guy is 6'4", 210 pounds. He runs a 4.26. He has long arms. The guy was a monster as a rookie. And then, as what happens with a lot of corners, they're in the right place. They just don't know how to play the ball in the air, and it's just got to be maddening. But for the 49ers fans, it's awesome. And so Ricky Pearsall gets one that he's right there, and he just misplays the ball in the air. They're standing right next to each other. Then Ricky keeps running, and Woolen just stops. And then you'd think a third-string tight end, when Brock threw up the ball in the game-winning touchdown, what ultimately was the game-winning touchdown when he went right, and he threw that ball up, and I saw Woolen versus 𝐿𝐿, and this happens offensively all the time. You have trust in your guy. We have trust in your guy if it's Jennings or Pearsall or Kittle or somebody like that. Jake 𝐿𝐿, really? So he throws it up against Tariq Woolen, a 6'4", 210-pound corner that runs into 4.2s. And I'm thinking to myself, that ball's getting picked off. And 𝐿𝐿 out-battles Woolen for the ball. And Woolen made two horrible plays, just can't play the ball in the air. Made two horrible plays, and 𝐿𝐿 comes down with the football, and the Niners win. And then you go to the other side, and Seattle's going right down the field. It looks like really everything's not going well for the 49ers. Then all of a sudden, they're trying to, Greg Olson's talking about burning the clock and all those kind of things. And then Nick comes around. No sacks on the day for the 49ers until then. And it's a strip sack. BOSA gets it out clean. There's no tuck rule deal here. And forces the fumble, and they run the clock out, and the 49ers win. So divisional road win. I don't care about how they did it. They did it. Let's start there. BOSA saves the game. I'll let you hear from him in just a second. Let's give a big round of applause to the defense. And like I said, I've been saying this a lot. Robert Saleh has been coming to the podium and talking about the youth and all these kind of things. But you know who won the game? And you know what Robert Saleh did that I thought was really interesting? We'll look at the snap counts on tomorrow night's show. But Huff played a lot of snaps, and Kalia Davis played a lot of snaps. I'm talking versus the young guys. And D. Winters stepped up big time. And Upton Stout got attacked, but made a couple of plays. But obviously teams are going to attack him. Green got beat on the late one, but played fairly well up to that point. Made a nice play on 𝐿𝐿 on a play where he knocked the ball out. But it was a lot of veteran players. It was Fred Warner after going down early and coming back. He played a lot of veterans, but then Siegel made a lot of tackles. I think he made 6. We'll get into that conversation. D. Winters, we told you, all camp, had a great camp. But a lot of people, we get, and I'm the same way, we all get obsessed with rookies. What's going to happen with Nick Martin? What's going to happen with Mikael Williams? What's going to happen with – those guys didn't make a huge impact. It was Robert Saleh really staying with some guys, even if they were younger veterans, like I said, like Kalia Davis, who blew up a couple of plays in the backfield. They just really played great defense. Now, is Seattle one of the better offenses in the league? No. Based in week 1 or on week 1, if you're watching any of the Raiders-Patriots game, Geno Smith, the former Seahawks quarterback, threw for 362 yards. He looked far more comfortable in the Raiders offense than what Sam Darnold looked like in the Seahawks offense. And they were trying to bully the ball. They were trying to challenge that defensive line, but Robert Saleh had it down. He just was like, no, we're not going to do that. And the defense did enough. They didn't throw a lot at Demo Lenore. They threw a lot at Green. They threw a lot at Upton Stout. And Sam Darnold just wasn't very good today, but you got to give a lot of credit to Robert Saleh because they didn't get a ton of pressure on Darnold. In fact, Brock was on a ton or under a ton more pressure than what the Seahawks or what the Niners are doing to the Seahawks. On Brock's first 18 dropbacks, he was pressured 13 times. So the line got it together just enough, and McCaffrey did just enough as far as running the football, but awesome. So the defense was great for the 49ers. Pearsall was great, went over 100 yards. Got the big play where, like I said, Woolen was just lost. 𝐿𝐿 gets the play at the end, and CMC. Don't panic on him. Catch the ball, run the ball. He was fine. So that's your good. Let me pop up the screen, the box really, really quickly just to share it with you, just kind of give you a couple of things that we're going to look at real quick. So, again, Brock was okay. I know the numbers turn out to be all right. 26 of 35, 277, 2-2. The one throw into 4 guys reminded me of 2024 where we was just trying to do too much. McCaffrey takes it 22 times and catches 9 more. 31 touches for Christian McCaffrey. 31. Oh, my God, the calf! Ah! All right, 31 touches. He's officially fine. Ricky Pearsall, 4 for 108, 45 yards on 7 targets. And again, Jauan Jennings got hurt about midway through this game. And everybody was freaking out when I said Ricky Pearsall is going to catch 80-plus balls for 1,100 to 1,200 yards. Now, remember, 1,200 yards is only 70 yards a game. They got 17 games now. So Ricky Pearsall's a player. He got lost a little bit in the middle of this game after making a couple of catches on that first 95-yard drive, but still, Christian McCaffrey's the key to this whole thing. Obviously, Brock is, but Christian McCaffrey, just as I've been telling you this week, the orbital situation where he just pulls so much attention away. Kittle will get into the injury in a minute, had the touchdown on that first 95-yard drive, and then defensively, Warner was great, Bosa was great, Winters was great, Siegel was great. Green got beat a couple of times, but made a play when it counted. They don't ever throw at Lenore because they just know. So anyway, that's kind of a quick look at things. Darnold, again, just okay, 16 of 23, 150. That's a downgrade at quarterback. Great job. 3.2 a carry is minuscule, so a great job keeping him to 84 on the ground and 3.2 a carry and saying, Sam Darnold beat us. Couldn't. Smith-Njigba was really good. Last few games, he's killed the 49ers. Cooper Kupp is not nearly the same kind of player. Arroyo is going to be a lot better later in the year. Walker, I don't know what happened to him. Guy used to have just a ton of juice, and some of it's the line, some of it's just Kenneth Walker just doesn't look as explosive. In fact, Charbonnet looks better than Walker at this particular point. So, again, give me your thoughts on things. We'll stop at the good. So, again, divisional road win. Bosa saves the game. Defense was great. Give a game ball to SALEH, even though he doesn't tackle, he doesn't sack, he doesn't defend passes, but without him, they ain't winning today. And then special shout-out offensively, Pearsall, Tunges, who comes in for Kittle, and CMC, who touches the ball 31 times. 31 times. And like I said, I was going to say it doesn't matter how many yards he has. It does matter how many yards he has. But when he's touching the ball 31 times, and then when Brian Robinson comes into the game, he's the best backup running back they've had in years around here. And I like Elijah Mitchell, and I like Jeff Wilson Jr., and I respect to all those guys. He is a bowling ball, man, and he's tough. He's a badass. So that 1-2 punch, and there's not a lot of two because McCaffrey plays so much and you just can't help it. But 31 touches for McCaffrey, that is big time today. So there you go. Yeah, like I said, look, here's the thing. And hi, 49ers diehard, or 49er diehard. Here's the thing, guys. We got to remember this. Nobody plays in the preseason. A series or two. The first month of the season, we have to remind ourselves, is ugly in the NFL. People are willing, or coaches are willing, or teams are willing, organizations are willing to play a sloppy brand of football for the first month of the season because they're deathly afraid of injuries in the preseason. They won't play anybody. It doesn't matter. But everybody's in the same boat. So you're going to see sloppy football. 17-13 game. I had my friend Ian Furness from KJR in Seattle who I was texting with the whole game. We talked about it early in the week. I thought this was going to be like a 2017 game. Tops. I knew it was going to be a low-scoring game, even though I think the 49ers are going to be fine offensively. We'll see what goes on with Jennings, and I'll play some cuts from Kyle in just a second talking about the offense. But early in the season, you are going to see ugly games. I saw a lot of them today. Jacksonville, Carolina, the Raiders, and the Patriots, where teams got off to decent starts, and then they kind of just, offensively, they just kind of weren't there. They weren't executing crisply. There were a lot of mistakes made today. Special teams for the Niners look like the special teams of last year. They have a lot to clean up. But you'd rather clean those things up with a win than a loss. And I'm not looking ahead to the Saints already, but the Saints aren't a very good football team. And you could play another sloppy game and get a win and be 2-0. And that's what you got to do. I mean, look, going to Seattle is not easy. I don't care how many Niner fans were in the stands. It was 53% or 50% or 47%. I don't care. Going up there is not easy. I know that the 49ers are on a pretty good roll right now going up there and winning. But early in the season, you are going to see bad football. You're going to see ugly football. You're going to see bad special teams. You're going to see miscommunications offensively. You're going to see breaks defensively. How many did we see today? We saw it on both sides of the ball. Green got beat on that last ball by Njigba. You can't let that ball. You can't. That play cannot be made. You can't let that big play happen. Seattle with Woolen, that big play that went to Pearsall. You can't. Why are you flat-footed playing that way defensively? Just both teams, they just haven't had enough reps. And you can do joint practices and you can do training camp and all those kind of things. The only thing that gets you better is playing in a game. And so what teams have said is, we're deathly afraid of injuries, paying these guys a lot of money. Lots of teams are top heavy like the 49ers because of it, and they will not risk injuries in the preseason, which gives you ugly football for the first month. This is what it is. So if you get the win, especially a division win on the road, it's massive. Just massive. All right, let's start. I'm going to get out to to talking to everybody, but let's get into a few things, all right? Where am I going to start with this whole thing? I guess I'm going to start with Moody. I'm sorry. Here's Kyle. Now, again, I don't believe a word out of his mouth right now. I know he's pissed. I know that you got to make that first field goal. The second one's not his fault. Julian Love made a nice play, and he makes the third one. But it's just starting to drive Kyle crazy. If you don't think it's starting to drive Kyle crazy, let me show you this one. This is the block. This is the block field goal. So again, that's not Moody's fault. I'm the number one person who's going to say, look at Kyle. I mean, he's just had it. So regardless if it's Moody's fault or whatever the case may be, Kyle has had it. So here is Kyle trying to defend his kicker after the game, but we shall see.
7-yarder. The next one. Well, obviously, I was disappointed that we missed 2 field goals. I mean, we missed one, which was a big miss, especially I think we were inside the 10. I want to say it was 27-yarder. Then the next one, Love made a hell of a move. I think it was Love. Splitting that D gap. Looked like he jumped over the guys. I saw it on the scoreboard. But we got to clean up that protection. That's everyone there. That one wasn't Jake. That's just the whole operation. But, yeah, we got to do better.
You went for it on 4 several times, so was that just we're not going to kick a field goal if I can help it?
I don't think so. I mean, I want to say they were 4th and 2. So I don't think that changed it. I mean, would have kicked it if it was more than that.
Is Jake is that kicker in any question in your mind whether he's going to be back with the team?
No question.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I think they're going to evaluate the kicker. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in a kicker this week. There's a guy named Dustin Hopkins who kind of has the same kind of a situation as Moody, extremely talented, very big leg, but just not consistent. And it's to the point where, and I said this in the offseason, I even said it for preseason games, if he started missing kicks. Look, he's kicking balls out of bounds in the preseason, missing kicks. That was a short kick you got to make. He doinks it off the field goal, gets the next one blocked. It's all in his head again. The kid is ultra talented, but the reason I didn't want a third-round kicker is because they put a ton of pressure on themselves. And when they get to the next team and they're not under the pressure of being the 99th overall pick, I think they relax. It takes him a couple of times around the league to get to know wind patterns and all the different things. Now, he should know how to kick in Seattle, but it's just a mental game for him. You can just see it. He's got all the talent in the world, and Kyle's trying to do the nice thing. But if you're being honest with yourself and you're the 49ers, you've got to use one of those practice squad slots on a kicker. This guy is teetering on the edge, and I don't want him to fail. I want him to succeed. But every time, here's the problem. Every time he lines up for a kick, we're all on the edge of our seat. We shouldn't be like that. You should be able to get up on your, okay, it's a 32-yard field goal attempt. I'm going to go get a beer. I don't need to watch it. It's going through. But with Jake Moody, we're all biting our damn nails. You can't do that. And Kyle's at the end of his rope, and I know this for a fact. I don't care what anybody says, John Lynch or anybody. He's not into it. He's not into the special teams. He said it a million times. He doesn't want to talk about kickers. He doesn't talk to the kicker. The reason why he brought in Brant Boyer, and this was shades of 2024 again, missed a kick blocked. It almost cost him the game. This was 2024 all over again. And he brought in Brant Boyer, and he let Boyer bring in his own punter, his own snapper. A bunch of guys were signed that were special teams guys so that Kyle didn't have to worry about special teams. Don't want to have to worry about it. Part of the reason he brought in SALEH, he trusts SALEH. He knows that he doesn't have to look at that side of the ball. Roberts got it. So that he can concentrate on what he does. He's the best play caller in the league. He's the best offensive mind in the league. That's what he wants to do. Robert SALEH, you got the defense. Clearly, he's fine. Thank you very much. Brant Boyer, I gave you your long snapper. I gave you your punter. You said you had confidence in the kicker. We signed 3 or 4 or 5 special teams guys for you. Like, let's get this straight. And then it was shades of 2024 all over again with the kicking. So to be completely honest, I know what Kyle's saying now. Why the hell would Kyle right after the game say, yeah, we're changing kickers? He's not going to do that. They're going to sit down and talk about it. But I can guarantee you Kyle's opinion right now is I can't fucking have it that I roll my kicker out there for a 32-yard field goal early in a game against Seattle after scoring on the first drive 95 yards and can take another lead, and my guy doinks it off the upright. I can't have it, man. I cannot have it. And if I'm Kyle Shanahan and they already flew home, but Brant Boyer's sitting right next to me in first class, and I'm going, what the fuck, man? I'm sorry. I know you don't kick, but you got to get in the kicker's head. You got to figure this out. We're not doing this again. We're not having special teams cost us games. And again, I'm not grading the game. I'm just simply saying that we shouldn't be talking about the kicker this much. It's ridiculous. Seattle's kicker, Jason Myers, he's bounced to 2 or 3 teams right down the middle. That's where those kicks were. I mean, they don't even think about it. 48-yarder, boom. Now, I started the show with this. How weird is this? And Tim Kawakami just asked the question. His misses actually played into the positive because we know how conservative Kyle is, especially if he trusts his defense. And Kyle doesn't usually go on 4th and 2. Kyle's just going to take the points a lot of times. And you heard Greg Olsen talk about it a ton. They didn't trust the kicker anymore. So they just said, they almost acted like they didn't have a kicker deep in the low red zone. They were like, we don't have a kicker. I mean, look, the game was tied and they didn't kick the field goal. They got the touchdown. They were just on 4th down on that 4th and 2 he just talked about. He's like 10 times out of 10. Well, not now. 9.9 times out of 10. Kyle's kicking a field goal there. That's what he did in the Super Bowl when he should have went for it. Mike McDonald was the one who got burned today. 3:24 left in the game. 4th and half a yard. Seattle kicks the field goal. That's how you lose games. That's how the Niners lost to Kansas City in the Super Bowl in Vegas. You go for it there. The other team gets the ball at the 35-yard line, not the 20. So they're already, they're halfway to field goal range anyway. So Mike McDonald blew it. And by a strange way of things, Jake Moody being incompetent led to the 49ers going for 4th down, which maybe ultimately won the game. Having said that, that's not the way Kyle's going to look at it. It's not the way the organization's going to look at it. They can't continue this. They cannot. So, I don't know if Jake Moody makes it to next week. I get it. He made one. He made an extra point, those kind of things. But the games are close every week in the NFL. There is no Georgia Southern. There is no Louisiana Monroe. These games come down to it. And if Kyle Shanahan specifically does not have confidence in this kid, doesn't matter where he was drafted anymore. It really doesn't. And I don't know that there's a better kicker out there. I don't think Greg Joseph is better. I don't know. But at this point, they're starting to, you can see the frustration on Kyle's face. This is not just about the blocked field goal. This is just about the whole thing. This is the first one. This is everything boiling over. This is the second one, is obviously the block. And that was a breakdown of the special teams. But you see how pissed he got. Usually he's fairly stoic, but he's just like, damn, I send a kicker out there, and the first time he misses a gimme, the second one's blocked. What the fuck? We cannot have this in a close game. So it's going to be a discussion, man. There's a lot of things to discuss on the plane. And like I said, a win's a win, especially in the division. But, man, that is a killer. So the second big story, obviously, besides Jake Moody, is injuries to Jennings and to Kittle. Matt Barrows asking the question if they still are looking at Kendrick Bourne, especially if Jennings is out a while.
We can get him. I know we're still trying. Hopefully that can work out.
If Juwan is out for an extended period, do you think that Jordan Watkins is a possibility to be?
He got back at the end of last week, but so he is a possibility. He's getting closer with him, so we'll see.
All right, so that's Kendrick Bourne. And, I told you this on, I think, Friday. I said what Kendrick Bourne is waiting for is an injury. Kendrick Bourne obviously didn't get the contract offer he was looking for from the Niners, even though they gave him a contract offer. Went to Washington. They gave him a contract offer. He didn't like that offer. And so he and his agent decided, well, let's sit out. There's always injuries. And it didn't have to be with Washington or the Niners, but it just so happens that Jauan Jennings, and this isn't camp related. A lot of people were like, camp related. Think about it. A muscle injury can be camp related. So if he had hurt his calf again, which he didn't, amazingly, his contract, not a calf. If it was a muscle injury or something like that, then yeah, okay, you could say that, but he hurt his shoulder. So now Jennings, we're going to find out more as the week goes on his shoulder. George Kittle, who amazingly enough was hell-bent on finishing the season as a leader last year, and then he hurts his hamstring, had 4 catches for 25 yards, got that touchdown to cap off that first drive for 95 yards, and then he gets hurt. So for one game, and this is kind of how it works when you lose a big player like this. Tunj just did a nice job. They actually blocked really well with George Kittle out of there, ran the ball well when he wasn't in there. But we all know what George Kittle means to this team, both on the field as a leader, all those kind of things. So there he is in street clothes. Now, can they beat New Orleans without George Kittle? Probably, but it's a major problem. So now all of a sudden, here we are back to, and this is, again, as you see down here on the ugly. So we're doing good, bad, and the ugly. So you see at the ugly where I went Moody 1 for 3 on the field goals, and then shades of 2024. What was 2024? Injuries, right? Penalties. They had a bunch of those again today. Brock trying to do too much, and special teams. So I agree with you if you think this is an ugly game and was an ugly game. A win's a win in Seattle in division. So I don't grade it. But where my concern level would be is Jake Moody, shades of 2024 with the injuries. How big of a deal is this hamstring for George Kittle, and how many games is he going to be out? Is he going to miss next week? Okay, they can probably win without him against New Orleans. And what tends to happen in the league, especially with your big-time players, when you're talking about muscle injuries early in the year, they're not going to chance it. So don't get me wrong. If George Kittle is healthy, he's going to play. But if they think that this thing can be tweaked worse early in the season and it's going to be something that's going to hang with him for the entire year, he's going to be out for a couple of 2-3 games because they're just not going to chance it. So I'd be surprised with a hamstring, depending on how bad it is, if Kittle plays next week in New Orleans. And here's how I know. I am clearly not a doctor. Anyone who watches this show on a semi-regular basis knows I am not a doctor. However, as I've said many times, I've been doing this a long time. When you call somebody out as quickly as the 49ers do, George Kittle gets hurt, boom, he's out. There's no he might return. There's no questionable. There's no doubtful. He was out. That means he tweaked that thing pretty good. Because if he kind of tweaks it a little bit, they may say questionable. If he kind of, doubtful, right away, he's out, and then he's in street clothes in the second half. So that means he tweaked it pretty hard. So that's not good. So to be honest with you, just based on that information alone, because we all know what that means, boom, out, street clothes, And you could just tell by the kind of the way he was walking. He wasn't walking around. He wasn't jumping around. He wasn't, it's probably not a good one. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was out at least for next week. So the tight end's got to step up. And then as far as Jennings, I don't know how bad the shoulder is, but here we go. And I'm not getting on the negative side of things, but again, let's look at this thing. Okay, even if Kendrick Bourne comes back, Watkins, that's great, but he's a rookie. Now teams have some tape on Ricky, and they're like, well, obviously Brock's guy is Ricky. There's no George Kittle. Puts a ton of pressure again. I mean, look at with Kittle out and Jennings out, CMC had 31 touches, and that's wonderful in terms of, well, I guess the calf is okay. But you can't live on giving CMC 31 touches a week. He's not going to last the whole season. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be a domino effect. No Kittle, no Jennings, overused CMC. He's going to get hurt at some point as well. So what they have to do here is to say, okay, if we don't have Jennings and we don't have Kittle for next week against Nolans, then maybe Jennings can step up. Probably they up their offer to Kendrick Bourne. Ricky Pearsall is going to get a ton, obviously. And Robinson's still out. He's got 2 more games for Demarcus Robinson, which stinks. So, look, it's going to be tough. It's going to be going back to the run game. And if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm going to look back at that film and say, look, it's great to get CMC 22 carries. Don't get me wrong. But the way Brian Robinson runs north-south, I would get him more involved in the offense. I want to get Brian Robinson 12 to 15 touches. I really do. And I want to knock McCaffrey's runs down to about 15, 16, and I'll get the ball out to him a little bit more in space. But that's a problem now offensively. Now, having said that, if this defense is what we saw today, New Orleans isn't scoring a whole hell of a lot of points. Because Spencer Rattler, I watched some of that Arizona game, and I'll go back and look at it as the week goes on. We'll talk more about it. Yeah, he's not very good. So they can hold them down. All right, so again, let's go through it. The road win. BOSA saves the game. Defense, Winners was great, but Robert Saleh is clearly back. Pearsall, Tunges, CMC offensively. Bad. Woolen. Oh, my God, is Tariq Woolen bad. On the play to Pearsall and the play to Tunges, he's your starting corner and your third-string tight end, outduels him for the ball. Mike McDonald, a young coach, kicks the field goal with 3:24 left on 4th and less than a yard. Thank you very much. We did get to the ugly. Moody 1 for 3 of the field goals. Shades of 24 with the injuries, the penalties. This is what I meant by Brock. And Brock didn't have a horrible game, but he cannot try to do too much. What are you doing here? 2nd and 13, tie game, 7:07 left in the game. I know he trusts Ricky Pearsall. There's 4 Seahawks right there. And he decides on 2nd and 13, I'm just going to throw a jump ball and see how it goes. It's not going to go well. That's the Brock Purdy of 2024, where I'm just going to throw it up. It's like, dude, live to fight another day. One of your superpowers and why you were so good for the first couple of years of your career is you didn't put the ball in danger. You didn't turn the ball over a ton. You didn't put the defense in a bad spot. And that's where Seattle went down the field and kicked the field goal after that. But you can't throw the ball up with – that's not Ricky Pearsall's fault. There's 4 guys in the vicinity. There's one 49er. There's one in front. There's one in back. And there's 2 other guys thinking they're going to catch the ball. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But there's 4 guys within 3 yards of that football. There's one 49er. Or there's 5 guys within 3 yards of that ball, and there's one 49er. That ball's not coming back. And look at the situation. 2nd and 13, 10-10, 7-0-7. What are you doing? Your defense is playing a hell of a game. Can't run on you. Sam Darnold's not having a good day. You got to think that's the worst thing you can do right there. So, look, I like Brock just like you like Brock. And he went down the field and he won the football game and he made a great play to 𝐿𝐿, which I thought was going to be an interception. When that ball was put up in the air, I was like, no way. But Brock cannot do those things. And that's what I'm talking about in the ugly. Look, they got to win. But Moody, injuries, penalties, Brock, special teams in general, that's 2024. And if I'm Kyle Shanahan, this is what I'm showing Brock right here. Like, dude, no. Look at the situation. I mean, that's not okay anytime. 7-0-7 in the fourth quarter in a tie game at the 50-yard line. You're going, hey, Ricky, go get that. Like, really? Not good. All right, let's see. Let's go to 𝐿𝐿 because this is pretty cool that he made this catch in the end zone. Here is what he was thinking, what he saw on that game-winning touchdown.
Started scrambling around, so immediate scramble drill, try and stay in bounds, try and beat your guy. I saw him throw it up. I wasn't sure if he was throwing it away or whatever, but I just tried to cut underneath the corner right there and high point it and, come down in bounds. So.
Isn't that just instinct in terms of attacking the ball? Because some guys may stand back and wait for it to come. Like, how did that kind of happen? Yeah,
it's something you work on. It's like a good fundamental of football is like always reaching out and trying to high point the ball or attack the ball so that, you let it get into your body or whatever, the defender can punch it out or whatever. So that's something, we work on and we emphasize a lot in practice and stuff. So I'm glad to see it, come into play there.
Does that moment feel like it's happening in slow motion? Does it feel like it's happening fast? How does it, like in your head, how's it playing out?
Definitely slow. I went up, I caught it, looked down at my feet, make sure I was in bounds, and kind of looked around for some flags. And it was silent, because we're
I wanted to stop it right there. I'll let 𝐿𝐿 finish, of course. He said it was silent. It was far from silent. I mean, there's a bunch of Niner fans. The place was going bananas, which shows you like he was in the moment and he caught that ball. And it was almost like, I don't know, this happens in life sometimes where you're kind of not aware and you almost hear like white noise. It wasn't quiet. When he said that, I was like, dude, no, it wasn't quiet, man. You were just kind of in your own zone. Like, I don't know if Jake 𝐿𝐿 has ever caught a game-winning touchdown. Certainly not like that. He's like, yeah, it was quiet because, we're on the road. It's like, dude, half the fans are Niner fans. The place was loud. Anyway. Continue.
We're on the road. So I think Russell Gage, someone was like, you scored. And so then I was, didn't believe it. And then I was, spiked the ball, go celebrate with all my guys. So,
I mean, how cool is that for that dude? I mean, who's going to win who's going to catch the game winner against one of the, I'm not going to say one of the top corners in the league, but I mean, physically a 6'4", 210-pound corner who, by the way, just was trying to let the ball go to him. But like I said, when Brock scrambled on that play, and I'm thinking, I'm yelling at my TV, throw it away, live to fight another day, throw it away. And then he goes to his right and throws it up. There's 2 Seahawks right there. One of them's 𝐷𝐿𝐿 WOOLEN. I'm going, okay, 𝐷𝐿𝐿 WOOLEN at 6'4", 210, incredible athlete, long against Jake 𝐿𝐿. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this is going to end well for the 49ers. There's no way. And what he did is he went up, like he said, and he leaned towards the ball, and WOOLEN went back. And I don't know what the hell, man, WOOLEN was thinking on that whole drive. I mean, he had 2 of the worst plays I've ever seen as far as ball skills I've ever seen in my life. And when he first came into the league as a Seahawk, he was like a 4th-round pick. Again, 6'4", 210, running a 4.26. He had like 4 or 5 interceptions. I mean, the guy had good ball skills. I think he used to be a receiver too. Terrible on that last drive, but Niners will take it. So congratulations to 𝐿𝐿, man, especially with with George Kittle out. Man, what a play. So good for him. Here is CMC and Brock Purdy. And one of the things we've been talking about through the entire show is, hey, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Look, the whole NFL, if you watched all day long, there was a lot of not pretty plays because nobody plays in the preseason. Christian McCaffrey ain't hearing it. He says a win's a win.
We have a really new team, and I think there's so much talk about this, our past teams, and but we try to wipe all the past noise away and focus on this team. And to have a bunch of new guys come out for the first time together and to play with each other and get out a gritty win against a good team in a tough environment, that's a big deal. And there's so much we can build from that we're excited about. But to come out of a game like that with a win is huge.
Ross, all the one-on-one stuff you've done with Ricky, was that kind of payoff today?
Yeah, 100%. I thought there were some things that, I missed him on, that he did his job really well, and so we're gonna go back and continue to grow and build together. But yeah, man, from him coming in with the right attitude at camp, willing to learn our offense from day one, and be humble as a young player and ask me, like, hey, as a quarterback, what do you see? What do you need from me? He's done that day in and day out, and he absolutely loves football. So for me as a quarterback, I want to ride with a guy like that and go out and compete and find ways to win. And so I thought today going out there, man, with the position that Kyle put him in to go out and win one-on-one reps and come down with the ball, man, it was pretty awesome to see. So we're good.
So there's Brock and CMC. Great to have CMC back again. 31 touches for CMC. Brock can be a lot better. The first interception, by the way, Ernest Jones had, if you saw it, that was just a hell of a play. I mean, sometimes you have to give credit where credit is due. Ernest Jones, and I don't think that Brock saw him, but he tried to get it over his head, and Jones just like the former Ram went up and got it. And sometimes you just got to go, that's a hell of a play. The second one, like I just showed you, you had 4 players in the vicinity and you throw it up at 2nd and 13. You got to live to fight another day. You're near midfield. It's a tie game. That's stupid. And I'm sure Kyle's going to sit down with him and go, hey, we went through this last year. You don't have to do too much. Christian McCaffrey's behind you. Clearly, with SALEH back, we have a better defense. I thought Seattle was going to have a little bit better offense than that. Cooper Kupp wasn't very good. Their line, which they were touting to be better, wasn't very good. Even though they only had 1 sack, they weren't able to run the ball effectively. Like I said, I don't know what happened to Ken Walker, but Charbonnet is a pretty decent player. I think it's going to be this is just one game, so I'm making judgments here off one game. Geno Smith looked pretty good for the Raiders. Sam Darnold didn't look very good with the Seahawks. I think that's a downgrade at quarterback. So I don't know that this is going to be one of the top offenses in the league. In fact, I don't know if it'll be even in the top half, but I don't care about that. I think that the young guys are going to get better and better, and seeing what D. Winters did to focus on the defense here for a second, then we'll hear from Fred Warner in just a minute. But Fred Warner's going to do what he's going to do. D. Winters looked like a heat-seeking missile all day long. Upton Stout had his ups and downs. I told you this week because I was talking to some friends in Seattle. They were going to target him. And I told you this splits that were so tight for Seattle, and especially on that left side with Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. So then off the line, they'll do split sometimes, or, so you don't even really know. Even one guy could be inside the other, but that outside guy could still be the slot because of the route that he runs. So it can be really difficult to figure out what exactly is going on, especially, again, you're Upton Stout. You didn't play in the preseason. And so you've got Cooper Kupp and Smith and Jigba are 2 great slot receivers. And Smith and Jigba's going this way and Cooper Kupp's going that way. Kupp dropped a ball that he would normally catch on a 3rd down. So, maybe he's just getting comfortable within the offense. It takes a minute. I think Seattle's got a couple of good tight ends. They didn't really utilize them in Barner and Arroyo today. So, look, I think Seattle will be better as the season goes on, but I'm not going to take away from the 49ers defense. It's very encouraging. Even though they only had the 1 sack by Nick at the end, which was the strip sack, they stopped the run. Kalia Davis flashed. You didn't hear much from Mikael Williams. You didn't hear much from, West inside or Collins, who only played a handful of snaps. They didn't really have a ton of those guys in there. Nick Martin, some guys that you saw from preseason and got excited about. This was Warner. This was Winters. This was, again, at the end, it was Nick Bosa. They played Huff a lot of snaps. He was really just a 3rd down guy, but I think that they weren't sure that Mikael Williams was quite ready. So, there was a lot of veterans that stepped up. I think that, like I said, to see D. Winters, who had the kind of camp he had and a kind of preseason he had, and then to carry that over in a physical game against Seattle, that's a big deal for the 49ers defense. Demo's going to be Demo. Green got beat once, but made a nice play. Here's the best thing I can say about the safeties today. They didn't make any mistakes. Siegel had, I think, 6 tackles on the day. He looked good. They didn't make mistakes, because normally when you've got some young guys and some safeties who haven't played a ton back there, especially together, they haven't. So they're not really on the same page a lot of times. You'll see big plays. You didn't really have that. Now the big plays were down the sidelines. Like Green got beat on the one. So it wasn't like there was a blown coverage by a safety that led to a play. So look, they played solid defensively. You got to give it up to these guys. They played hard. They played fast. Will they make mistakes because they're young? Yeah. But you saw these guys. You saw more veteran guys. And I know that Saleh said during camp, we'll see 6 to 8 guys start. I'm not going to see that. There's going to be some injuries and some guys are going to have to step up. But that's after they get more and more reps. And they're going to get better and better. And so they didn't really have to expose those rookies as much defensively. And I thought they played a great game on that side of the ball. No doubt about it. Here's Fred Warner. Let's give a little Fred for you, talking about getting the win and what he saw out of the defense and how happy he is that Robert Saleh is back.
To inspire my teammates through the adversities that we were hitting there throughout the game. And so ideally I was really hoping to get the ball, but my teammates doing an incredible job all game of finding ways to get that. And I know we didn't finish +1. I think we were even after that BOSA play, but can't express how huge of a win this is.
So having Robert Saleh back on the sideline, how good of a game did you
I mean, it's huge. I mean, I've talked about it all offseason, just the confidence that you have as a player with such a dialed-in coach like that. It was great, again, having him back on the sideline, making adjustments. I kind of had a feel for how he was going to call the game. So throughout the game when he was making calls, being on the same page, and it was great. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but you love to learn off of a win.
Let's talk about the young players on your defense so much this summer. What it's like to see Winters, Siegel, other guys flying all around. They were making a lot of plays out there.
Yeah, it's so big. And, I mean, when you have young players, you hope that, they obviously play assignment sound. But the thing that you cannot not show is that tenacity, that relentlessness to the football. That's to their advantage. In your youth, being able to just play with your hair on fire, and we needed that in a big way. I think. Obviously, I wasn't able to truly see it yet on the tape, but I can't wait to watch.
So there you go. There's Fred, and also talking about having Robert Saleh back. And like I said, maybe I even underrated that because, a lot of times you have these great coaches, and I don't care what sport they're in. If you don't have the talent, it really doesn't matter. But Saleh dialed some things up tonight or today, and they just shut Seattle down for the majority of the game. And the plays that Seattle did make, a lot of them were on just big plays. Smith-Njigba beat Green on a play late, which almost blew it. But then, BOSA made the play that he made. But they're just consistently playing great defense against the Seahawks all day long. A nice job by Robert Saleh. And like I said, Fred Warner, a lot of veterans played very well, including, let's hit this one. I almost forgot this one. Here's Nick Bosa, the play of the game. Seattle's driving. Things don't look great. And Nick Bosa comes through with the strip sack. Here's how it happened.
Finish the game that way with the strip sack, I guess, and just the fumble recovery.
It means a lot. It was a grind of a game. A lot of ups and downs. It tested us in a lot of ways. So it was really good. Obviously, ending with a win is what we're always aiming for, and the fact that I was able to help is always great.
So much was made of the run defense struggles last year.
Okay, can we stop it just for a second? He's got the chew in. Spits right there between questions. Anyway, maybe that was just me who caught it.
3.2 today in 26 years. Just what was your impressions of what was working, how you were able to slow them down in that regard?
Yeah, I'm proud of how we how many yards rushing?
3.2.
Yeah, no, that's what we always emphasize, and it was kind of a scheme that we're familiar with, and with the Kyle Shanahan tree. So we definitely, for the young guys, it was good because they've seen it during camp a little bit, so they had a little more familiarity. But Saleh's the man. He calls it great, and I obviously need to watch it. I don't really know what's going on half the time during the game, but yeah, that's number one, stop the run. So we're always happy with that.
Was there any?
I don't care what anybody says. He's the best post-game interview. Bosa's amazing. I don't even know what's going on half the time, bro. I don't even know what's going on, He's got the chew in. Just to kind of go over everything team stat-wise, and Bosa was just talking about that. So, again, the big numbers that you see right here, key downs, 3 for 10. The Niners went 7 for 14. So that's what we're talking about defensively. The Niners hit both of their fourth downs. Mike McDonald blew it for not going to the one. Only 230 yards of offense for the Seahawks. That's absolutely huge. 4-6 a play, not great, but then you look down here, passing-wise, they got a couple of big plays, but the only sack was that BOSA sack, the strip sack for 4 yards. But this is the big deal on this deal. Seattle runs it 26 times from only 3-2 a carry. That's what they were just talking about. Hold them to 3-2 a carry. Niners weren't much better at 3-3, but still, good defensive job. Again, this smacks with 2024. You cannot have 9 penalties. Seattle only had the 4. Both teams had 2 turnovers. Got to close that. Again, that's has to do with, I think, not playing in the preseason. And look at the dominance as far as holding the ball. And again, when you have a Kyle Shanahan team that does that, the time of possession, you're tiring out the other team. 38 minutes of possession to 22 minutes. It does depend on what you do with the ball, obviously, but you had 10 more first downs. So statistically, they absolutely dominated the game against the Seahawks, and you see how well they did as far as just holding them down. Again, 84 yards of rushing, 3.2 a carry. Very nice job there. And like I said, anytime you can get, and that's the key number there, we know what it is when Kyle and company get 30 or more rushes. They get 36 despite being 3-3. You get 36 there. 35 is probably more than they wanted to throw the football, but they had to at times. Pearsall goes over 100 yards, including that 45-yarder that set up the game-winning touchdown. Kittle, before he got hurt, 4 for 25, and that touchdown to finish off that 95-yard drive. There's Tunges right there with the touchdown to win the game right there. And again, let me just go over to Brian Robinson, 9 carries. I'd like to see those carries be at about 14, 15 for him. I mean, again, not again at the too much of the cost, but if I got like 16, 17 carries out of McCaffrey, you get 9 catches there. I'd rather just, the catches are great because he's not going between the tackles and getting smoked. Brian Robinson is a north-south big-time runner, so you dig that. And then defensively, like you said, Bosa just said he didn't do much. From his slot, he gets 6 tackles. Warner leads. Winners, that doesn't tell the story. He had 2 TFLs, but he was all over the place. You got Siegel, the rookie safety, and Pinnock right up there as well, so they get some jobs. A couple of nice plays inside by Elliott today. That's what I was talking about, playing some of those guys. Okwuonu was the guy that forced a fumble early in the game as well, and Bethune was in there for Warner when he got hurt for a minute too. So there you go. That's what the numbers look like, and the 49ers win it 17-13 over the Seahawks New Orleans next week, who lost to the Arizona Cardinals. All right, give me your thoughts. I haven't gone out to the chat line for a while. John Lund Unleashed talking about the 49ers 17-13 win over the Seahawks. Don't care what the grade is. A win is a win, especially when it's in division and on the road, so they get the win. Nick Bosa gets the knockout. Tunges gets the win. The bad news, a couple of injuries. Kittle and Jennings. Jennings is a shoulder. Kittle is a hamstring. I'm nervous about the hamstring because they ruled him out so quickly, and then he was in street clothes in the second half, and he didn't look all that happy about it. George is usually in a very good mood. So that might be something. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. I bet he misses next week at least, because when they rule him out that quickly, it's usually something. And it's not great. So we'll see on George Kittle. Maybe the tight ends are going to have to step up again next week, and the defense is going to have to play great. The Saints did not look good. Remember, their new coach is Kellen Moore, the former Boise State quarterback that was the Cowboys for years as their offensive coordinator, but they didn't look great against the Cardinals today. I think it was, 20-10, I think that ended up, or maybe 17, but they didn't look great as well. So there you go. All right, give me a thought. Give me some thoughts before we get out of here. The questions, comments, thoughts can be about Moody, the injuries, shades of 2024, any of those kind of things. Special teams not great again, too many penalties, but a division road win. Bosa saves the game. Defense looked much better than I thought it would, especially early. But again, they didn't play as many young players as maybe we thought they were going to do. But the guys who did play, and I'm talking about young veterans too, Kalia Davis, D. Winters, guys like that really stepped up. They're not rookies. And I told you this at the beginning of camp, which is, we're so focused on the guys in 2025. I understand that. But it's guys like Winters who need to step up. And, your second, Ricky Pearsall, guys like that, Renardo Green, the guys from the 24 draft where you're going, hey, guys, it's time to step up for you, because rookies are just that. They're a dartboard throw a lot of times, and they don't play as consistently. So then you look to the 24 draft and you say, it's your time. Your second year is the time to step up. This isn't new to you. So that's a lot of these guys. And then, like I said, the rookies will come along. I didn't get a real big impact from the rookie defensive lineman, but it'll come along. All right, so let's get some thoughts before we jump out of here tonight as well. And again, tomorrow night, we'll have a full recap of everything as well. Plus, we should get some injury updates on what's going on with Kittle, Jennings. And if you missed a little earlier, Kyle Shanahan did say in his postgame press conference that they were still looking at Kendrick Bourne, who's probably jumping up and down going, there's an injury. I'm going to get paid. Not get paid a lot, though. Paid okay. All right. What else do we have today? Yeah, Brock did almost have 3 picks today. He played okay. But you know what? I'll always say this. I'll use Steph Curry as a perfect example of it. Steph could go 5 for 23 from the field on a certain night. But when does he hit the 5? Does he hit 3 or 4 of those in the fourth quarter? And, Brock Purdy on that final drive where he hit Tungus, which that could have been an interception if Tariq Woolen was better. I thought it was going to be when he let it go. But, he made the plays when he had to make the plays. And there was, like I said, the play that I've popped up there a bunch of times. I just don't know what you're thinking there. And Kyle had to go up there. And again, you can see the scenario there. Fourth quarter, 7:07, game tied at 2nd and 13. Dude, can't throw into 4 Seahawks there. I don't care how much confidence you have in Pearsall. That's just stupid. That's 2024 of Brock trying to do too much. So, I'm sure Kyle took him aside and went, dude, we got a defense here. We got Christian McCaffrey. We got all these guys. You don't have to be Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to be Josh Allen. You don't have to be Lamar Jackson. Just let it come to you, dude. It's okay. We're playing good defense. 50-yard line with 7 minutes left and throwing a jump ball against 4 defenders, not the play we need. But you know what? He made some plays. That 95-yard drive, he was great. The last drive, he was great. So he made the plays when it counted, and that's what it comes down to with a game-winning quarterback. And that was kind of what was funny is that last drive, I was watching Sam Darnold, and I thought to myself, is Sam Darnold that kind of quarterback where he's going to take his team down the field with 2 minutes left and win the game? And when he hit Smith and Jigba on the big play, I thought maybe he is. And then when the Niners had a penalty, I said maybe he is. And then Nick Bosa beat, by the way, Abe Lucas, who just got a contract extension, their right tackle this week. And that's what big players do. They make plays. And I'm not saying that's Darnold's fault. It's not. But that's what I was like, Sam Darnold's going to beat them on a last-minute drive? No. Bosa's like, no, he's not doing that. Kidding me? All right. It's good to see our good friend Skills again. I'm always well after San Francisco destroys Seattle. Very nice. Yeah, how is everybody feeling? Like I said, I started the show with this. There are no grades. This is pass-fail. I don't care. Early in the season, we're going to say this a lot. We're probably going to say about this next week, too, against New Orleans. Plays are going to be ugly. Penalties are going to happen. Turnovers are going to happen. First month of the NFL season, every single year is like this. It's ugly. Just win. I know maybe you don't like the Raiders, but just win, baby. Let's go. That's what you do. Yeah, defense. Defense was really good tonight. What's up, Tacky? It's good to see you. Yeah, look, I think Seattle's going to be good defensively. I don't know what they're going to be offensively. Kupp didn't look good. They couldn't run the ball a ton. They said they're going to have an offensive line that was going to be improved. Sam Darnold needs a minute. But they're going to stay in games because they have a good defense. What else do we have? What else? Anything else tonight? Yeah, Dwelly could be a guy. I mean, he's like a cockroach. I mean, he's here, he's gone, he's here, he's gone. He's probably coming back. Because like I said, them counting out Kittle that quickly, and then he's on the sidelines in the street clothes. I was like, that's a bad sign. What else we got? Anything else? All right. No MRI yet, Nick J. We should find something out in the morning, but they don't have to say anything until Wednesday. But usually things leak out, so we'll find out. Maybe even tonight. We'll see. I'll let you know. We'll do an emergency hit if we find something out on that. What else do we have? Oh, what's the house like? House divided. Because you're the Niners and your husband's a Seahawks fan. House divided. Is he on the couch tonight? Are you guys good? How does that work? All right. That's about all I got tonight. So, again, let's go through it. 17-13. The good thing is divisional road win, not grading it. Bosa saves the game at the end. The defense was great. All hail Robert Saleh. Pearsall, Tungus, CMC 31 touches. I think the calf is fine. Bad news. By God, is Tariq Woolen bad. Mike McDonald kicking that field goal. Fourth is short, 3:24 left, half a yard away. Jake Moody, it's going to be a conversation, people. Sorry, 1 for 3, gets 1 blocked, 1 missed, and makes 1. Shades of 24, but they still get the win. Last year, they would have lost this game. Injuries today with Jennings and Kittle. Penalties, they had 9 of them. Brock doing too much, especially on that play I keep showing you. Special teams were ugly, a miss, and a blocked field goal. Hopefully it's not the same thing. We heard from Kyle Shanahan on a couple of things today. We heard from BOSA, heard from Tungus, heard from CMC, heard from Brock, heard from Fred Warner. So there you go. Will Jake make it to next week? I don't know, but here's the thing, and this one wasn't his fault, but I think Kyle's had it. That's just a hunch. I think Kyle's had it with the field goal team. But that's just me. So keep it tuned right here. It's always a soap opera all week long. So here's what we'll do. We'll have a show for you tomorrow night. We'll have all sorts of stuff going on the rest of the NFL. I know we didn't hit a lot of NFL tonight, but we'll do a lot of NFL recap tomorrow as well. We'll talk about the Sunday night game, and then the Monday night game is a huge one too. In division, NFL's got this thing wired, man. Thursday, Friday, break for college football Saturday, Sunday, and then Sunday nighter, and then Monday night, man, they got this thing nailed, and they're doing a bunch of division games now. This is the way to do it. They had a great first weekend, did the NFL. So there you go. All right, thanks everybody for hanging out. Good to see Skills again, and Anthony and Enrique. If I missed anybody at the end, Joy's got the house divided, which is great. What else do we got going on tonight? Everybody, thanks for hanging out for the post-game show for the 49ers. Again, 17-13. They get the victory today over the Seattle Seahawks. And again, we're not grading this thing, man. It is pass-fail. They're 1-0. They pass. Seattle's 0-1. They fail. Arizona won today in division, and the Rams barely get by the Texans 14-9. So you got, three 1-0 teams, and the Seahawks in their rightful place at 0-1. All right, everybody else, have a great night tonight. Have a wonderful, hi, AJ Cruz75. Good to jump in. Everybody have a great Sunday night. Appreciate it. Again, thanks for hanging out. We will talk to you tomorrow. Please, before you get out of here tonight, give us a like, please, so the algorithm likes us. Hit us with a follow at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. And also, make sure those alerts on so they can hit you up and bug you all day long with stuff that we send out during the day. Everybody have a great Sunday night. And it's a good Sunday night because the Niners win 17-13 over the Seahawks.